Yeah, what's going on, fam? We are back with another video. Finally, episode 6 for Power Book 2 Go Season 2 is here. So we got a lot to go through. And again, if you're new, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Absolutely like, comment below, and let's get right into it. Finally, we see Monet is at the house. Looks like she is not feeling what's going on. There's a party happening, and we see that it's a party for your boy Poppy. Lorenzo is back home. So, of course, the crew is there. They're chilling, they're eating, they're drinking. You know, he's getting paid off and all of that. So everything's looking good. Poppy's back home. He's here to do what he has to do and rule with an iron fist, as he should, right? He's been locked up for 10 years, and Monet's been there. But absolutely, he is giving his daughter, Princess Diana, her props, saying how she's stronger and more loyal than anybody, right? And, of course, your girl Monet is not feeling any of that stuff right there. Not feeling it at all. So Lorenzo's doing this thing. He's giving props to Diana, making her smile. You know, we haven't seen Diana smile this much since we don't know when, right? So, of course, you got the guy, Keynote, and he's like, hey, how did you get a lawyer like that? And she's like, yo, I hustle. I hustle to do what I got to do to get, Poppy out. You know what I mean? So, of course, he's begging her up like, hey, Lorenzo, you raised the boss. You know what I'm saying? You raised the boss. So it's nothing but love going around. Keynote is one of the goons that was with him before. And everything's looking good, And, yeah, Lorenzo's back. But the only person really not feeling it, you could tell by her face, is Monet. Your boy Zeke shows up, and he just walks up in the house because that's what he does normally, but now it's a different environment. Of course, Lorenzo sees that, and he doesn't know who that is. Rolls up on him and says, hey, man, if you wasn't invited, guess what? You know what? You got to step. Get out of here. You know what I mean? And Zeke is like, yo, my bad. Monet said it was cool to bring my ball team. My bad, right? So, of course, Lorenzo doesn't know who this is, and it's obvious that he never met Zeke in his life. And Monet's like, this is my nephew, Zeke. He's like, nah, I never met you. And he's like, yeah, you should be happy for everything that my wife has done for you. But this is not personal. So he gets Keynote to come over and pat him down. He's like, yo, this is not personal, man. Have a good time. So while, Zeke normally would come in the house and it was all love from the first season, now it's a whole different environment with Lorenzo being home, right? The king is back. So now, it's like a whole different vibe altogether, right? Kane knows that, and, everybody kind of knows that, right? So now Kane is telling Poppy, Lorenzo, he's like, hey, little guap wants to take a picture with you and all of that, and they still patting down all the ball players and everything, and we see that, Drew's boy is there, right? And Monet peeps that out. Monet sees that this dude showed up. So Little Guap's like, yeah, I want to take a picture with you for the IG and all this and that. And Lorenzo's like, forget that IG stuff, man. Just build and hustle, man. You know what I'm saying? Forget all the pictures and stuff like that. He definitely from the old school. So Drew walks in, with his drink or whatever, and he peeps out Everett. But at the same time, while he's looking at Everett, kind of smirking at him, Monet's right there looking right at Drew. So Monet is recognizing what's going on. And, of course, Lorenzo's just like, hey, yo, come over. I want to introduce you. And he introduces him to these other cats that used to roll with Lorenzo. And that's Keynote and Caliente, right? Keynote and Caliente. So they all like, yo, what's going on? It's all good. Kane is there with Little Guap. And he sees that Lorenzo is playing him real close. You know what I'm saying? Playing him real close on some like, yeah, he's the next one to come up. And he's saying, hey, Drew's going to run this well after I'm gone. Everett's still looking at him, and he's peeping that Everett is looking at him. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, it's not a good time for that to happen. Of course, Monet is peeping out everything, right? No smile on Monet's face. She's like, I see what's going on. Meanwhile, on the other side, we see Tariq is still locked up. But he's not going to be locked up for long. He's got a whole lot of thinking to do, and he definitely is going to try to make sure that he gets out the best way possible. But he's definitely regretting everything, but he's really thinking about what he needs to do to get out, who set him up, and everything else like that. So we're going to find out real soon how this goes. Back at the house, Monet, she's chilling, she's talking and seeing, and people was peeking what's going on, right? And, Lorenzo's in there like, yeah, want my cigars and all this and that. And she's like, nah, you're not smoking up in here, He's like, I'm going to smoke in my house if I want to. And, this guy, Kino's like, yeah, at the same time, we running out of wings. Can you get some more wings? And, Diana peeps what's going on. Drew sees what's going on, that basically Lorenzo was treating her like nothing. You know what I'm saying? Just like, hey, do what I say. I run this thing and do what I say. So she went from being the ruler of her own house with him being locked up to now her being subservient to her husband on something like, yo, go get the chicken wings and go get the cigars. Like, you know what I mean? So he's talking to her. He's talking down to her, basically. And the family sees that. And Diana, she's not feeling that. Even though, they had their little discrepancy in the past, she's not feeling that. So she's like, Ma, you need any help? And, they can tell, like, Monet is just not happy at all. Not happy at all. So Lorenzo's giving the plan and saying, hey, this is what can happen. You're going to be on the block again, and we're going to split it 60-40. And, Kino's like, nah, I'm running my own thing. I'm my own man now. I'm running with this group. And Drew's like, yeah, I heard the feds ran up on that group. He's like, yeah, but, I'm in charge until Big Man comes home. So Lorenzo's like, yo, who is that? That's the same crew I had to protect you from in jail. And now you running with him? He's like, yo, looks like you already chose your own man. You already chose your son. So he's like, yo, I'm out of here. So Kino walks out on some like, yo, it is what it is. Like, I'm just going to run with these guys because you already picking Drew to be your second man, and I'm not going to play like third fiddle, right? So now Kane rolls over to Monet, and he's like, yo, we need to talk about what's going on because, looks like Poppy is just doing his own thing, and she's peeping out your boy Everett walking through and everything else like that. So she's really looking at Everett because she wants to talk to him. So Monet is like, you know what? I can't talk about that right now. We'll talk about that later. We'll get to all of that. Of course, Kane is being shoved off and passed off. And, he feels some type of way about all of that. Like, he really is being played by everybody, right? So Drew is coming through, and he's peeping out everybody. He's peeping out Little Guap. So Little Guap got concerns. He's like, hey, man, I saw your brother looking at me, your cousin looking at me. Let me talk to, your father, let him know that there's no beef. And Lorenzo's like, man, don't even worry about that. He just care about the money and everything and making sure everything's straight. So Monet rolls up on Everett. She's like, you know who I am? He's like, yeah, I know you are. You're Zeke's aunt. She's like, don't play stupid. I'm Drew's mother. You ain't ready for Drew. And, you snitching. So get your snitching ass out of here. You're not welcome here. So she basically kicks him out, man. Like, she's not playing. Monet doesn't play, when she's protecting her family, protecting her kids. Party's over. Next morning, we see Poppy Lorenzo. He's in the bed. He's like, yeah, things are going to be better. I'm so happy, da-da-da-da. And, he basically wants to take the business off her hands and really just run it. He really is like, listen, I was locked up for a long time, but now we're going to do things different. And Drew is going to be in charge. He's going to basically take my place, once it's gone, right? So, of course, Princess Diana rolls in there. She made breakfast for Poppy. He's excited. He's happy, right? She's happy. Like, we've never seen her smile like this ever, right? So, of course, Monet's like, oh, you only make breakfast for Poppy? And she's like, yeah, this is his welcome home breakfast, like, I didn't think you were hungry. She really playing Monet like, you've been treating us like this, but now Poppy's home is all good. And I think Monet is peeping that out too. She's just like, yeah, okay, whatever. So he's happy. He's like, welcome home, Poppy. He's happy about it. And Diana got the biggest smile. She's so happy because she made it the way that he liked. The boys come in there, they get the boxes from the garage with his old clothes, and they're like, yo, Poppy, we found your clothes, man, but you can't wear none of this stuff. This is like 10 years old, right? And Kane is like, listen, I got some drip for you. He's like, I would do another bid before I wear the funny clothes you wear, right? So they're like, oh, So it seems like, hey, Lorenzo, Poppy, he has a bond with his children more so than Monet does. And I think she's peeping that out, but he's telling the whole family, he's like, listen, I couldn't imagine this. things are going to be better. It's going to be the way it used to be. You know, we're going to bring the family together, and Diana is just smiling and smiling, and you see how happy she is to have her father home, meaning that, you know, when he was locked up, of course, she didn't like that. She didn't want him to be locked up, but he's home, and he's like, yeah, it's going to be the way it used to be, you know? He tells the boys, yeah, listen, we got to go on the Ave, so both of y'all coming with me. They're happy about that, and the only person that's not happy in this scenario is Monet. She's just not happy about any of this. Now we shoot over to the court, and we see finally, after the holidays, Tariq is now in court, right? He's seeing a judge. Of course, we got McClain and Sachs. They're there to defend him. Of course, the people, Sullivan is going against Tariq, of course. And they're in there, and she's saying, hey, no bail for him. No bail at all. You know, he's been brought in for double homicide. And, of course, McClain is like, yo, you have no evidence. You have none of this stuff. None of this stuff can stick. You know, yeah, so what? His badge was, Ramirez's badge was in the drawer and everything else like that, but you guys have no evidence. So, you know, she's going on, just really trying to keep him inside with no bail. And, of course, they're trying to defend. You know, she is saying some things that, you know, definitely make sense, but at the same time, it doesn't, because there's no real evidence on that at all, right? So they're going back and forth, and Tariq just blasts out of nowhere, and he's like, listen, I'm being framed, and all this and that, and it's like, yo, what are you doing? Like, McClain's like, yo, sit down, relax, man, relax. Let us handle this. And she's like, see, he's wilding out. Basically, he's wilding out, so he needs to be locked up, no bail, double homicide, and all this and that. So for right now, he's locked up. He's still going to be locked up for right now. Now, he sits down with Davis, you know, McClain, and Sachs. And, you know, McClain is, you know, just real smart. He's a real smart lawyer. And he's like, hey, listen, man, there's only so much we can do, you know, with these judges and everything. But you need a judge who definitely can be influenced by an influencer, someone who has a lot of influence. Again, he's referring to, you know, your boy Rashad Tate. And he's referring to anybody that has influence, not just Rashad Tate, but even Simon, whoever it is. So, of course, Tariq is like, all right, well, just get Rashad Tate in here, and I'll talk to him and handle it from there. They're like, all right, bet, that's what we're going to do. So McClain, Sachs, they're going to get Tate to come in and talk to Tariq. Now at the bar, we have Lorenzo, Kane, and Drew. And Drew is talking about how, you know, yeah, this is where he got shot, and, you know, how it burned him and everything else like that. And Lorenzo's definitely relating to him. And, you know, he's just listening. And his pops is like, yeah, you know, getting shot like that definitely messes with your mind. You know, you can't let it mess with your mind. So Kane pops out with a gift, and he gives it to Poppy. And he's like, here's a gift. You know, I know you used to rock something like this. So he got it all iced out and everything. He's like, yeah, you used to rock this before. He's like, yeah, you know, this is what I used to rock with in the pen. So now I got this right here. He said it would have been a better gift for you to connect me with that connect. And he's like, all right, well, you know, I'm going to give him a call, see when they're ready. And, you know, Lorenzo speaking in Spanish, he's like, yo, man, there's nothing to get ready. Like, just make the call and make it happen. Me and Drew are ready. He's like, I got to talk to Drew real quick. So Kane leaves, and he looks like he's upset. And, you know, Drew is just like, hey, you know, I don't really need to meet the connect. He's like, nah, you know, listen, if something happens to us, you got to take over. So Drew was like, hey, listen, I heard that, you know, there's some things going down with that crew, and definitely we can do something about that. We got to take out the threat. So he's letting Poppy know, hey, listen, we're going to do that. And Poppy's like, yeah, you know, I'm definitely well pleased. And, yeah, we're going to make things happen. We're going to make things happen. Now, your girl Monet rolls up on Diana. And she rolls up on Diana about Poppy. She's like, why didn't you tell me that Poppy was getting out? She was like, well, she lied and said, well, he told me not to tell you. And she's like, listen, what happened to that money? Like, you shouldn't have taken that money. You know, I hit somebody up. I took somebody out for that money. And Diana, again, is giving an attitude like, you know, Poppy's the ruler now. Like, you're my mom and you ain't ruling no more. So, of course, what does Monet do? She hems up Princess Diana. She's like, are you crazy? Like, you must be out of your mind. Like, she hems her up on some like, listen, I'm still the queen. And, you going to stop giving me all this attitude and all this and that. Like, I'm still running the show here. And she's like, why are you mad? Why are you mad? Why you don't want Poppy to be here? You're not happy Poppy's here? Like, what's going on? You don't want him to be here? And she's like, get out of here. Get out of here. She's just real upset. She's like, you better get out of here before I take you out. So Diana's just really kind of like, what is going on? Why is she so upset? Poppy's home. Everybody should be happy, but she's not happy because she has her plans with Mr. Dante. Back in the prison, we see Tariq, and he's definitely trying to figure out who set him up. So, of course, he's thinking about Kane. He knows Kane set him up, but he's also thinking about who else set him up as well. So, he's thinking, he's trying to figure it out, and he looks up, and guess who he sees? You already know who it is. You think it's Ghost, right? But nope, it's your boy Kane, right? In his conscious, in his mind, subconscious mind, Kane is like, yeah, you trying to figure this out, man. Did you question this? Did you question that? Like, who would not only set you up besides Kane? Like, who else besides Kane would set you up? Like, who else would it be? Like, maybe it's a loved one. Maybe it's a loved one, right? And he's just going through his mind, just thinking about, his mother and everything. Of course, not her setting him up, but he's just thinking about and missing his mom. Because, in situations like this, he definitely wants his mom by his side, right? But who else set you up? Monet, right? Shows a picture of Monet. Who else set him up along with Kane? Monet. And he's like, yeah, gotta be Monet. Monet definitely had to set me up, right? And he's like, Kane is just like, listen, man, like, you're gonna have to handle this, but yeah, you can bust shots or whatever, but you got to be smart about how you're going to get back at the op, right? So he's thinking and plotting and doing everything else like that. Meanwhile, back at the school, Lauren rolls up on Professor Milgram. And she's like, why didn't you tell me that you knew that the story wasn't about Braden? And she's like, well, I didn't really have to tell you anything. You just really need to, get the wiretap, and we had to find out what needed to happen. She's like, yeah, but if it's not Tariq, then, like, why'd you set him up like that? And she's just like, yeah, well, he's a cold murderer and he deserves what he got and all this and that. And they're going back and forth, right? And Lauren's just like, yo, how could you do that? How could you set me up, to get my own man? Like, And Professor Milgram's just being real cold, She's just really callous and really cold towards Lauren. And she's like, listen, I can't talk about this right now because the rest of the class is coming in. Then we see your boy Rashad Tate. And, they're talking about everything that just happened, talking about Tariq and the case and, how everybody's being affected by it. And, of course, again, Lauren just really looking at how really cold and really like, man, you kind of set me up. You definitely set me up. And it's talking about going on to another subject, but Rashad Tate definitely chimes in and is like, yo, this is affecting everybody. It's affecting all of us. And Professor Milgram's just like, well, he's going to get what he deserves, and, Rashad Tate is like, you know well and good that he has to be proven. It has to be proven that he is guilty, before they can convict him because he's not convicted. And Lauren's just looking on with just like, man, I'm pissed off, right? So now we got your boy Dante Spears, a.k.a. Mecca, talking with Monet, and he's like, listen, I know what's going on right now, but, you said you wanted to, start a new beginning. Like, do you still want to start a new beginning? She's like, I don't know. It's just confusing right now. And, he's like, hey, I still want to see my son. She's like, yeah, I know. I got a lot on my mind. Just let me put it together. Let me just see what I can do. She's in a very, crazy position right now because, now that Lorenzo is home and Poppy's home and she's seeing how the family is. And it's like, yo, it's a hard decision to make to kind of walk away from all of that. So, she is like, hey, let me work this thing out. Next thing you know, Lorenzo is calling, right? Lorenzo's calling her on her phone. And she's like, listen, I got to take this call. So she gets up, walks away, talking to Lorenzo. Lorenzo is basically like, yo, did you know that Tariq got locked up for double homicide? That's not good because he's connected to all of us. He's connected to you. He's connected to Kane. It's like, how long before, this is going to be just going to go back and it's going to trace back to Kane? So basically, she's like, dang, all right, let me go talk to, Davis McLean. So she goes to talks to Davis McLean, and she's like, listen, man, I'm going to pay you $250 just to make sure nothing pops up, against me and my family. And he's like, yeah, that sounds good, but how about you double that? And then I'll make sure to do my part that nothing falls back on your fam. There's nothing that's going to trace back as far as these murders to your family. And of course, Davis McLean, he's just like, yeah, I'm taking it all in. I'm just really being kind of like strategic in what I'm doing. So, she's just really scared that it's going to fall back, but she has to come up with the rest of that money, 250,000 more. So she rolls up on Kane and she's like, why did you plant that badge, Ramirez's badge? And, Kane is just like, yo, man, don't even worry about it. It is what it is. We're going to pin this on Tariq. He's like, yo, you said the chip's going to fall where they may, and it wasn't going to fall on me. So she's like, what are you going to do about Tariq? Tariq gets out, this, that, and the third. It's going to be crazy. And he's like, don't even worry about it. I'm going to work with, the guy who actually created the app, the Course Correct app, which is Braden. And we're going to get him to take care of it and still run the product through Stansford, even though, Poppy doesn't want that to happen. Poppy just wants things to stay in Queens, and he wants to run all of that. So they're going to try to keep that away from Poppy. Now, Kane went and talked to Mecca. I mean, Kane is having a lot of conversations with everybody like it's crazy. Like he's having therapy sessions or whatever, right? So, he's telling Mecca, hey, my father, he wants to meet with you, meet with the Connect and everything else like that. I told him, whenever I'm ready, I'll get back to you and definitely talking to you first. I wanted to do that first. And Mecca's just like, man, honestly, like with how the things are going right now, I really don't need to meet him. You know what I'm saying? I really don't need to meet him because Kane knows that he likes to stay undercover. So he's like, yo, I don't need to meet him. It don't matter. So now we see Rashad Tate. He finally goes and pays a visit to Tariq. And he's like, what's going on, young blood? I kind of thought that you would end up here, da-da-da-da. And he's like, listen, man, you got to get me out of here. You got to do whatever you got to do to get me out of here. But of course, your boy Rashad Tate is like, listen, man, you had a deal with me. I hold my end of the bargain, and you didn't hold up your end of the bargain and give me that information. He's like, listen, I know I went on a trip with Braden's family, and they were talking about this book. And in that book, it had a lot of inappropriate things that definitely can get an elected official either locked up or definitely, lose his seat. So you get me out of here, and then I'll just go get that information and get it to you. So then you can run and get him out of position. So he's like, he's thinking and everything. He's like, all right, I'm going to do that. But make sure you give me that information, because if you don't, I'm going to make your life a living hell. That's what he said to Tariq. Of course, Tariq is just like, I ain't even trying to hear all that, but just get me out of here. Get me out of here so I can be free. Now we see Lorenzo, Poppy with the family, and they are talking about the future of the Tejada family. And he's basically breaking it down where everybody's going to have their own little crew, and they're going to run together and run on one accord, and absolutely they're going to report back to him. Okay. And the only exception is that Diana, he says, I have different plans for Diana. We'll find out in the next slide, but he has different slides for his wife. And that'll be important. Everybody needs to, definitely have their own position. But really, Lorenzo wants to retire Monet. So everybody leaves except for Monet and Lorenzo. And she's just like, yo, how you going to come through and just make these executive decisions and keep me out of it and keep me out of the business? He's like, listen, I just want you to retire. I don't want you to be involved with it. I'm out here. I'm out now. You carried the torch for so long that it's kind of dimming. So now it's time for me to step up. He's like, here's some money. Go get something nice and enjoy that. You know what I'm saying? You're welcome to your retirement from the game. So he's retiring her, even if she doesn't want to do it or not, right? So now we're at the court, a different court now, with a different judge. And here we go with Sullivan again, Jenny Sullivan, the people trying to go at Tariq. But this particular judge is looking at this system that is broken, this system that definitely puts us in a weird position as black men. So the judge is like, listen, that system is going to stop right here. It's going to change with me. And Rashad Tate is in there smiling because he knows that he either paid off or he has definitely heavy influence over that judge. So, the bail was set at nothing. There was no bail at all. And that was set by, the prosecutors. But, the judge is like, no, we're going to overturn that. You're free to go because there's no forensic evidence leading back to you, Tariq. So now McClain and Sachs rolls over to Rashad Tate and say, hey, man, you couldn't have did it better. It's like you could have had a finger, or could have had a hand just puppeting his mouth. Like, how did you do that? It's like, well, the judge owes me some favors. It's like, yeah, okay, what are these favors? And Sachs is being all nosy. But Rashad Tate is smiling because this is all part of Tariq getting that information to get the official person out of their seat, right? So the only catch is that Tariq has to wear that ankle bracelet, right? Has to wear an ankle bracelet for a certain amount of days and everything else like that and stay out of trouble. And that's the deal with him, So it is what it is. He's going to do what he has to do. And yeah, we're going to see what's going on. But see, Sachs, he's like, listen, did you kill that? He's looking for a confession. And of course, McClain is like regulating him. McClain is like, yo, calm down. Like, calm down. So, Tariq is about to go back and get all cleared up or whatever. And your boy McClain is like, what the heck is wrong with you? And he's talking to Sachs Fifth Avenue. He's like, yo, you never ask, a client whether he's guilty or not after the fact that they definitely said that he's not guilty. Like, come on, man. Like, stop all that. Like, for real, we're here and we work for Tariq and we're getting paid for Tariq, So he's just like, okay, okay. And McClain is just like, listen, I want you to promise me that you will never ask a client, basically if they did anything, because that's going to overturn and that's going to create ideas and that's going to do a whole bunch of stuff that we don't want. We're here to protect our client and get this money, right? So he does that and he definitely clears a lot of things. All right, now Braden is back at the dorm and he's playing games like ain't nothing going on. You know what I'm saying? Look, you're having fun. Guess who rolls in? Tariq rolls in, goes into the shower. He's about to, take off his clothes, get cleaned up because he's been locked up for a while. And Braden's like, what's going on, bro? What's going on? He's like, yo, man, like, seriously, man, I think you set me up to take the fall for this. And Braden, of course, he's just like, yeah, nah, I didn't set you up, man. I didn't set you up. And, Tariq is just like, man, I told you if you saw Kane to let me know. But you running around here doing all this and that, man. Like, seriously. And, he's like, yo, I tell you what you need to know, man. I tell you what you need to know. But, basically, why are you even doing this? You're rich. Like, go ahead and get your dad to get you a job before somebody gets hurt and all this and that. And Braden's just like, yo, what are you talking about, man? You act like your dad isn't rich. I chose this life just like you, man. You know what I'm saying? What did you do? Everybody messed up, but what did you do? And Tariq is just like, don't even worry about it, man. Don't even worry about it. So course correct. We're going to take down course correct, man. And Braden's just like, yo, I invented that. I started that. It's like, nah, man, you just set me up. And I took the fall for this. Nah, it's over. So Braden goes to Kane. And, of course, Kane wants him to go ahead and act like he started course correct and that things could keep going on Stansford. And now they talking to Monet. And Monet is like, listen, what good are you to me? And he's like, hey, man, I'm a white boy. I can move the drugs. I can move this and I can do that. And, I'm the one that started, course correct. I designed it and put it all together. And, Monet is just like, nah, I don't think so. I don't think so. And she's like, did you know about the whole body, Ramirez's body? And Braden is just like, well, I don't know why Kane tricked me into doing that. But, I'm definitely good to, continue with the course correct. And she's like, nah, you're not built for this. You're not built for this. So she denies Braden and working with Braden, and she's like, I saw your face. He's talking to Kane. I saw your face when he was talking about Ramirez's body, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't trick me, man. You can't trick me at all. So now we see Lauren, and Lauren rolls up and to talk to Tariq. Tariq is walking down the steps, and he's like, yo, why wasn't you there for me? You know, why didn't you come through? You know, why don't you come to the court? And she's like, you know, Tariq, and I was just scared. I was confused. I don't really know. And, you know, Tariq's like, yo, let's go talk in your room. And she's just like, nah, she just stands there. Like, she's not even trying to, you know, connect with him and anything like that. And he's like, you know what? I know who's down for me and I know who's not. And she's like, but Tariq, and he's like, yo, I'm just done with you. I'm done with you because I needed somebody to be there for me. He's like, yo, I'm going to get my stuff and then I'll give you the key to your apartment. And then I'm out of there. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're through. We're done. Right? So she goes to Professor Milgram. And Tariq told her that Professor Milgram was messing with Zeke. And she's still mad at Professor Milgram for tricking her, manipulating her, and everything else like that. And she's like, why did you do all this and that? You know, I hear now that you was messing with Zeke and all that. And she was like, well, Zeke and I, this none of your business. And she's like, well, it's going to be the whole school's business because I see how you manipulated me. And now, you know, now the whole school's going to find out what's going on with you, you know? Of course, Professor Milgram's like, oh, shoot, right? So guess who shows up to Tariq's spot? Effie shows up to support Tariq, definitely showing love. And she's like, yeah, I'm here to support you in times like this. You know, she goes to him and on some like, for real, I'm here for you. And Tariq is like, yeah, you know, it's a lot going on right now. And, you know, I don't know what to do. And, you know, things are not looking good as far as, you know, moving business and everything else like that. So he's like, yo, I'm still trying to figure things out. But I appreciate you coming through. You know, she's like, yeah, of course, I'm here for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Tariq is just on some like, yeah, you the only one here for me. You know, you really the only one that has been riding for me and that has my back in the whole nine. Of course, with all of that being said, you know, she's sitting and looking in his eyes and everything, and they just had that moment. And then, you know, they just go in and do what they got to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, Effie been feeling him like that. And it's been a while. And, yeah, she has been pretty loyal to him. You know what I'm saying? She has been loyal to him out of everybody, you know. So we'll see how Diana feels about that. Now at the Tejada family home, they down there eating, talking, reminiscing. They talking about how Kane used to do the beatbox and all this and that. And he used to start beats and he used to want to be a rapper. And it used to get on his mother's nerves. And and they're just like, yeah, you know, this is not the first time. You always know how to get under your mother's nerves. And they're like, yeah, nothing has changed. Like, Kane always gets on Monet's nerves and everything else like that, right? So he starts doing the beat or whatever. And and they start having fun as a family. You know what I'm saying? Like, Kane is just, you see a funner side of Kane here, a family side. And, of course, Lorenzo gets up and he turns on some Spanish music and then they start dancing and the whole nine. He gets up, start dancing. He's like, oh, it was a fun way to see the family, you know what I mean? And he starts dancing with Diana. They having fun. They dancing a little bit, you know what I mean? So they seeing what's going on. Kane extends his hand to Monet to dance, and she's like, get out of here. You know, she's just looking at the whole family structure and really thinking about, making her think like, yo, you know, I shouldn't mess up my family. Like, this is my family. You know, after 22 years, like, this is what it is, you know? And Lorenzo is having fun. He's home. He's finally having fun with the family and the kids. So, you know, she has to go now and talk to Dante. And she's telling Dante, hey, you know what? I don't think this is going to work. You know, things have changed. You know, I got my family and everything. I don't want to break up my family. And she basically just changes her mind. She doesn't want to start brand new with Mecca, with Dante. And, you know, he's like, what about my son? I still want to see my son. And she's like, nah, that can't happen because that's going to disrupt his basketball career, his mind and everything for, you know, his basketball career. She's like, basically, listen, it's over. It's over between me and you. You know, don't come around. He's like, well, you know what? If you don't tell him, then I'm going to tell Zeke that I'm his father. And she's like, don't tell him nothing. Stay away from Zeke. Stay away from me. Stay away from my family. it's pretty much over. It's a wrap. And of course, Dante is not feeling that. He's not feeling that after everything that he has done with trying to help Zeke, with setting up things and setting up a trust for the whole family. He basically wanted to take over the whole family before Lorenzo got out. But now that he's out, Monet's like, nah. Of course, now we see Dante change into Mecca. And you see his face. He's about to transform. Right? So now we see Lorenzo. He's talking to Diana, Princess Diana. He's like, hey, listen, me and your mom was talking, and we got you into St. John's University. And she's just like, nah, I want to go to Stansfield. I want to go up there and go to Stansfield. I don't want to go to St. John's. He's like, yo, it's a good school. He's like, nah, I know what mom is doing, but mom created a plan without you, and she's like, plan. So Lorenzo rolls up on Drew, like, what was that plan? What plans was made without me? Exit strategy. And, Drew's just like, yeah, when you was locked up and I got shot, she wanted to create a plan around Zeke to get us out of the game because it was dangerous and she wanted to protect us. And he's like, well, ain't nobody going to protect us but me right now. I'm out. And, that plan is dead. Nobody's going to answer to Zeke and none of that stuff. So now I'm home. But I want you to tell Keynote. I want you to tell him and tell me what happens with that. So, of course, he's texting the message and he's a little nervous about it. Now we see your boy Tariq, and your boy Tariq is talking to Braden. And, Effie told him, like, yo, why don't you just go talk to Braden, man, apologize to him. Y'all need to make up because y'all been boys all this time. He was tricked. It was stupid of him to do it, but he messed up and apologized. So, Tariq is just like, yo, you my boy. You know what I'm saying? And, I realized that really everybody makes mistakes. I made mistakes. You made mistakes. And, he's talking about everything that he has done for the most part and just being straight up with Braden. And Braden's like, yo, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. So, like, what we going to do now? He's like, well, we're going to have to make things happen, put things together. So now they have another meeting. But now this meeting is with Tariq, Braden, and your girl, Effie. So now they're all devising a plan together to make this thing work. She's just like, yo, Stansfield's kind of hot right now. So, that whole course correct thing, we need to lay low on that. But we got to figure out another way to move the product. So, they're just kind of strategizing and everything. And now Effie is down and they're working together. They're working together to make things happen. Meanwhile, on the block, Kane meets up with Lorenzo. And Lorenzo's like, yo, where's the connect at? And Kane is just like, yo, I'm the connect, man. I'm the connect. Like, it's crazy how you pick Drew over me, and I'm the one that's making things happen. So I'm the connect, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's it, And Lorenzo's just like, yo, what are you talking about? You're my son, you're my son. He's like, yeah, if I'm your son, then, you should have made me number two, riding by your side. And he's just like, listen, Lorenzo's like, listen, I'm not living off your mom and everything else like that. Listen, you got to choose. Are you my son or are you going to be, trying to be my boss, right? So really there's a conflict there. Meanwhile, we see Monet and Effie standing outside. So that's the meetup. She gives Monet a burner. And she's like, yo, just wait by the phone. So she gets a call. And who is it on the other line? It's Tariq. And Tariq is like, yeah, we got to talk about some things before we do business. Like I can't really trust you, with everything that went down. And she's like, I understand, that really wasn't me. That was all Kane. And Kane's the one that kind of like tried to set you up. And she's just like, yo, if you shoot at my son or you're doing anything at my son, I'm going to retaliate back on you. She's like, well, we still going to have to do business. You can do business now through Effie. If you want to do business with me, you do business through her. And we're going to do it like that. She's like, yo, can she keep up with me? And she's like, yeah, of course she can keep up with you. So Monet goes outside. She's like, oh, you must have laid it on him hard for him to trust you. So now and Effie's like, yo, we can make money together or we can make less money, apart. So she's like, yeah, we're going to have to make it happen. Meanwhile, Saks Fifth Avenue rolls up to Sullivan's office and he overhears the conversation. He's ear hustling and he hears how Lauren is like, I didn't sign up for this and this, that, and the third. Like, why do I have to continue on with this investigation and try to take down, my boyfriend and everything? And she's like, well, here's the life lesson. You should read everything before you sign it. And she's just like, pretty much you're screwed because now we pretty much own you, and whatever we need from you, you got to do, right? So Lauren walks out, she's mad, and she gets surprised by Sack standing there, and she's like, oh. He's like, what you doing here? And he's like, oh, I'm just coming to see you. And she's like, yeah, there's a lot going on right now. We'll talk later, right? So now we see the plan is in place. Tariq asked Braden to go get that yearbook to get that information on Sweeney for Rashad Tate. And the family's at home, and we shoot over the family's at home, and Kane gets a message from Mecca and says, hey, I changed my mind. I want to meet up with your dad, with Lorenzo, because now that Monet cut him off, now he wants to see his son, and now he's going to talk to Lorenzo and everything else like that. So Kane is like, oh, word? Okay, he wants to meet up with my dad now, right? Even though he told him he's the plug, right? And now we shoot back, and we see that Braden's about to take that yearbook. And then we see Mecca, he's outside, and he's looking at something. He's looking at something. So now we see Braden. He actually gets that Stansfield yearbook. And Mecca, they shoot back to Mecca, and Mecca is looking over like he's really, really studying something. And yeah, Braden picks up the book. That's what Tariq needs to give to Rashad Tate. Mecca is looking, and he's still studying. What is Mecca looking at? He is looking at his son, Zeke, practice on the ball court. All right, Zeke is outside playing ball. He knows exactly where his son is at. And just like he told Monet, he's going to tell him that he's his father, period, and that Monet is his mother. He's going to do that because Monet cut him off. Meanwhile, Effie's trying to take off this ankle bracelet, and she's like, listen, I got to study more, some more YouTube videos to take this thing off. And they still are in Lauren's brother's apartment, so it is what it is, Like, she got Effie, and she's just like, listen, I'm here for you. This is a new beginning. It doesn't have to end like this. Like, don't worry about that letter. It doesn't have to be what it is. And she tells Tariq, like, we can start all over. You don't have to be what other people are making you out to be, right? So she kisses him, skates off. He looks at that letter from his dad, reads it again, and he takes a lighter, and he takes a match and lights and burns that letter. Tariq is starting all over. He's not going to be, the bad guy that his dad thinks that he's going to be. He's going to make his own destiny. He's going to do his own thing. And that's how the story ends. That's how the episode ends. What's going to happen next? We shall see in the next episode of Power Book 2 Ghosts. Again, this is the welcome back episode. Definitely a great episode, and this is all the setup for what's about to happen next. Who can Tariq trust? It looks like Braden now. Looks like Effie. He's got the team together. And definitely Kane. Something's going to happen to Kane. Something is going to happen to Kane because he knows what he has to do. But he has to do it strategically. All right, let me know your thoughts and your comments below. Appreciate you watching. Absolutely. Let's continue to keep this thing going. And you know what it is. If you're new, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Absolutely like and comment below. And you know what it is. It's your man, VACAY-J. I'm out. Salute.